Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Pisgah Podcast.
We are your hosts. I'm Drew, that's the Mangler, you guys are our listeners, and we're coming to you live from the top of the bouldering wall at the Riveter.
And when we're done, we're going to drop in on this sweet sliding board too.
Excellent. So have you got any cool news or updates for this past week?
Man, I've been kind of in work mode. I've been working on a pretty big television show that's been shooting in the Charlotte area. With it being a large-scale TV show, they've been very cautious with COVID. Early on in the beginning of the season, they had some shutdowns, so they went like super hard. So essentially, I've been getting COVID tested 3 to 4 times a week. We wrapped on Friday, and that kind of put the end of my 3 COVID tests a week to bed, which is nice. I installed a new wood stove and got 2 rides in, a Daniel Ridge Rocky Side loop, and I think I rode Canoga twice this week, so it's been pretty productive. What about yourself?
Yeah, well, I can't say that I've been as productive as you, but I did finally put away my Christmas decorations.
What is it? It's the end of January. You know what? You get a pass for it. It's not that bad. You know, if it were March, I'd give you some shit, but
yeah,
we're still in January. You're good.
But yeah, I got some rides in. I got the ride Middle and Lower Black the other day, and then a very nice but cold Hot Springs ride on Saturday also.
It's funny. Sometimes you go out to Hot Springs with the thought that usually it's warmer out here. It's drier. But then sometimes you go out there and it seems even colder.
Got to say it was incredibly dry. But yeah, it's I think you go through 3 different climates when you ride there. Just depends on what side of the fold you're on and how close the sun is and how soon the sun's going to set.
Did you use any of our previous episode knowledge on dressing properly for your winter ride?
Yeah, I used all of it. I just tend to bring the whole kitchen sink. I bring my whole wardrobe, and I figure it out as soon as I get there because you never really know. I think the moisture from the river valley there does play a key part to how you're going to dress too.
That's a big challenge of where I live because I'm on a north-facing slope, and then I drop into Brevard and it's 10 degrees warmer, or it could be colder. So you just got to bring all your stuff with you.
Yeah, you never know. It's better to be overprepared than underprepared.
So for this week's discussion, what originally turned me onto this subject was an article from the Carolina Public Press. The article was mostly focused on the lack of funding the federal government had allocated to maintain the catalog of forest roads in the Pisgah and Nantahala National Forest areas. But there was a lot of interesting information in this article that I thought would be worth sharing, along with some other stuff that I've researched. So Pisgah and Nantahala have around 2,300 miles of forest roads. That's all the Pisgah districts and Nantahala. And that essentially would take you from Mount Pisgah to Mount Shasta in California. That's a long way. 868 miles are open to the public in some shape or form for driving throughout the year. And the U.S. Forest Service rates the roads on like a 1 to 5 scale, 5 being the most easily drivable for a passenger vehicle, and 1 being, those gated off forest roads where you probably see some small brush and saplings growing on the other side of them.
Huh. So some of the wettest years on record, 2013 and 2018, were top of the charts, wetter than some places in the Amazon rainforest in 2018.
That was a big rain event year, too. That's when we had a bunch of the landslides down in Saluda and stuff.
Yeah, and off of Interstate 40 as well.
Oh, yeah.
So most of all Pisgah's roads and trails were created for timber harvest in the post-war era, World War II era. Erosion control and stream sediment were not things of concern at that time. So Trout Unlimited is one of the biggest proponents of stewardship of the roads and trails and one of the biggest funders of the Cantrell Trail reroute.
I don't think people really realized what Cantrell was doing to the river there. Like if you had went up it, a couple of years ago and just paid attention to the trail, you saw that it was basically you were in a creek bed. And when you send users up that, it's going to deteriorate the trail surface, sending sediment down into the creek, which leads into the rivers and affects the fish.
Right, yeah, a lot of the deadfall and natural dams that happen that collect that silt and keep it from running down, that gets knocked out of the way when you're either hiking on it or if you're biking on it for that matter.
Yeah.
In the current time, the forest roads serve recreation and emergency access and also timber harvest. In 2018, the forest products industry made up for $3.4 billion, although it's hard to pinpoint exactly how much of that came from the national forest in western North Carolina.
I mean, that's a big number. $3.4 billion. That is a huge industry.
Yeah, that's giant.
As mountain bikers, closed roads aren't necessarily an issue for us, although the Forest Service has claimed some of the gated off forest roads for foot travel only. I've noticed some of those signs going up in the past couple of years. But currently, none of those forest roads really go anywhere. Most are just kind of dead end roads, which most of our forest roads are, but sometimes they happen to, intersect a trail that we can access.
Yeah, and so we use it for trail access and with mountain biking and even just outdoor activity becoming more interesting to people. We're starting to see more and more people in the woods, which is a good thing. I don't want to diminish that at all. But there is limited parking in a lot of these areas because, like we said, it wasn't designed for us to use. It was designed to pull timber out. Because of that, we're starting to see a lot of things like, one of my biggest pet peeves, which is people that park right in front of locked gates. And this is super hazardous for a multitude of reasons. One, you could be up there doing your outdoor activities and get hurt, and you could need help. And the people that are going to come help you aren't going to be able to get through that gate. Or a forest fire could happen, and the people that are supposed to go up there and put that fire out and assess the damage, they're not going to be able to get there.
Yeah, so forest roads play an essential part to the climate of our national forest, and unfortunately, those are not reserved parking places for Drew in front of the gates. So moving on to our interview subject or subjects this week, we got a chance to sit down with the McGill Trail crew, who are famously known for, in this area, building the jumps at the Riveter. Their other claim to fame is working out at the Frisco Bike Park, building all of that stuff and some of the resort stuff out there. But as you'll learn in the interview, they have plenty of other trail projects that they've got on their hats. So, yeah, Drew, what do you think?
Yeah, this is a super good interview, and I think that the crew that McGill is comprised of is one of those really cool stories where you got a bunch of people that just kind of intrinsically come together and form a thing where there wasn't a thing before.
So yeah, let's learn about that thing.
I'm Jeff Lehman, and I was born in Wisconsin. Grew up high school and college in Kansas, just riding river trails around the hills, mostly flatter stuff, building little wooden jumps to flat, just like probably the rest of us here.
Yeah.
With a couple crappy skate parks around, some metal skate parks, and just we didn't have access to anything. So then started to really figure out what I wanted to do. I was going to college. I had a semi-plan, but then went out to Colorado and got involved in Keystone Ski Resort. And that just kind of changed everything for me. Moved out to Keystone in 2002. And that's really, working for the resort is how I met everybody that has changed my life and directed it into where we are now with McGill Trails, and been part of another trail company as well as Keystone Bike Park, and then met Hitchell here. And Hitchell and I, after Keystone Bike Park, the whole team decided we needed to start a company, and here we are now. So it's kind of been a crazy experience. Feel unbelievably fortunate to be where we are right now, and to be able to do this as a living as a 40-year-old is pretty crazy.
I'm Eric Kitchell, partner in McGill Trails. I was born in Denver, Colorado, and then I moved shortly after as a young little peanut to Atlanta. Spent my childhood like South Atlanta, Southern boy growing up in the South. And as far as biking and stuff goes, like grew up riding BMX bikes, building, ramps out of 2x4s and all that stuff. I did that as a younger kid, and then I got more into like skateboarding, and we had family out west, so I always went snowboarding. And we'd do a trip every year and everything. So I was like skater kid, wanted to be a snowboarder. So like mid-college was like, I got to get out west. So I stopped my college path there and moved to Keystone in 2008, I think it was, to work at a snowboard shop and be like a snowboard bum, But it's kind of funny for me. I did like before I had never got into mountain biking until I moved to Colorado. I just always thought it was like kind of nerdy, I was like the snowboarder kid, like cool, like, oh yeah, snowboarder kid, like mountain bikes are nerds, I'm like, and then I started working at Keystone, working at the snowboard shop, and then in the summer they turned into a downhill bike shop for the bike park, and I saw a downhill bike for the first time, and I was like, what is that thing?
What is this shred sled?
Yeah, what is it? It was an old Specialized Demo 7. You guys remember those? Demo 7, the white one. It was so sick. I was like, this thing, what is this? Tell me about this. I immediately jumped on it, like rode down some stairs, was like smashing stairs and like running over curves. I was like, this thing can handle anything. And that's like when I fell in love with mountain biking. I was like, mountain biking is awesome. And then getting into it at Keystone and riding downhill trails and stuff. But yeah, so then I worked in bike shops and ski shops for a long time, and then finally was like, I gotta get outside and do something different, and linked up with Jeff. Actually, the funny story was Jeff and Josh Olson were building the Frisco bike park, and I was like the total fanboy. And I would just like go there every day and like, what are you guys doing? What jump are you putting in today? What are you guys doing? What's going on with this? And I didn't know Jeff that well. I knew he worked at Keystone, whatever. But after their day wrapped up, and I was like, he was like, you want to get a beer? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Let's go get a beer somewhere. And he's like, what do you mean somewhere? I got cold beer in the back of my truck, dude. I got a 30-pack of Busch right here ready for you. I was like, what? This guy's a legend, just rolls around with a full cooler of beer wherever he goes. And then we became best friends.
And nothing has changed.
Yeah.
We still have
roll around with a 30-rack of Busch
at all times.
Yeah. So then, I was working he hired me at Keystone. He was the bike park manager there. He hired me there and dug with him for a few years there. And then after, stuff changed there, and we started to see our path grow, and we were like, we should just go out and do it on our own. Here we are, McGill Trails.
It's weird. It seems to me like outside looking in or looking whatever direction, it seems like this industry just kind of popped up out of nowhere. I know so many people that work for trail companies, and I didn't know this was a career path or even anything until just a few years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't either. I was working with Flowline Trail Design on the Frisco Bike Park, and just as a carpenter, built all the wood features and the signage and stuff. And then as I became best friends with all of them, started working dirt work with them. And then all of a sudden, I was remodeling houses, working at the ski resort, just doing carpentry stuff, like normal people do. And then all of a sudden, we got recognized for Frisco, and we're traveling for IMBA. And we're just all over the place all of a sudden. And I was like, holy cow, everything I had gone to college for, everything I'd studied for is out the window. And we're doing bikes like as a living. Yeah. And it was insane. And we traveled around for a couple of years with Flowline Trail Design, and then got the bike park manager job at Keystone, and then met Hitchell and Mitchell. And it's been a whirlwind, and never thought that we would be here. But that's the other thing is, you do something you love, and you put your mind to it, and you put your heart into it, and all we do is do the absolute best we can. And yeah, people talk shit on us all the time, and everybody's, it's never right for them or their speed. It's a really tough thing, but it's also such a amazing artistic thing for us. We get kind of wrapped up in our heads about things. Oh, it's not quite perfect enough, but that's the great thing about it too. It's a artistry, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's like a blend of construction and art. It's pretty cool.
One thing I've heard some people say is, you've made it when people talk shit about you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, at least they're talking about you.
Yeah. It's like, when you're just starting, you're coming up, everyone's going to give you all that great support and everything to kind of to push you in the good direction. But when someone talks shit about you, you've made it.
Exactly.
Everybody wants the king's head.
Yeah.
But I guess so having a carpentry background is probably super important to a trail company, because it seems to me like that's not a skill that a machine operator or somebody that knows how to work with dirt and do landscaping kind of things will probably have super handy.
I think that's what has really helped our company as well. Like Hitchell is such the artist, and he does the renderings and all the drawings and the Adobe and the logos. And then I am the carpenter, and I had more of a remodeling company, so dealing with other contractors and the more construction style background and managing people. And so when we all came together, it was just this blend of all these different people that have a different background. Like our other guy, Tyler Mitchell.
Shout out Mitchell.
Money Making Mitchell. He is, we call him ITTA, International Trench Digger Society, is what he's came up with. Because all he cares, he's the finisher, and he's the shovel guy, and he makes sure all the water is always going in the ditches. There's no hiccups. And he's like, oh, why didn't the machine get this? Now I have to shovel this. So having this different crew of all the different people, and we're so tight-knit that it's just been a family rather than a business. It's been...
Yeah, it's cool because, we all complement each other. We've figured out our skill sets and, figured out how to complement each other and the ways that where we're lacking, other guys pick up the slack, So that's pretty cool.
Bringing all that to right here at the Riveter, how does some dudes from Colorado that build trails wound up doing a North Carolina project?
Yeah, it was organically, just like everything else has kind of happened for us. Pretty awesome. We have some mutual friends that are from this area.
Shout out to Alec and Chrissy.
Alec and Chrissy. I don't know if you guys know Alec and Chrissy. Yeah. Sweet. So we met them. Keystone, is kind of like, we keep going back to that, but that's kind of where we stemmed from. Alec was working in the bike shop. We were on the trail crew, so naturally you become, he's a ripping rider, so become buddies with him, and he gives us input on trails and all that, and start riding with him. So that's how we became friends with them. And I was actually working at a restaurant at the time that Chrissy started hosting at too, so we were all kind of in the same circle in Colorado there, and they always talked about how amazing this place is. They're like, wait till you guys ride in Western North Carolina. And we were like, I hadn't traveled east to ride mountain bikes. Like I said, my mountain biking career started in Colorado. So I was like, what? There's sweet mountain biking there? And they're like, just wait until you guys get there, But anyway, they're mutual. I think Chrissy babysat for Elizabeth's kids. And Elizabeth was out in Colorado on a ski trip, and Chrissy linked us up. She was like, hey, my friend is building a bike park near Asheville, and you guys build mountain bike trails. You guys should talk. So we met with Elizabeth and Paul and had dinner and hung out with them and showed them a night, showed them a Colorado night in town, and just hit it off with them and became, friends, and started there, and then built that relationship from there. Started talking concepts and planning and everything there, and then we came out that next July for a site visit and started nailing down what our plan was going to be, and going from there. So that's kind of how we ended up here.
And when we met with Elizabeth the first time, the owner here, she's like, I want this creek gap jump. And Eric and I look at each other and we're like, oh yeah, we could build you some creek gaps.
Oh yeah.
And once she saw what we started putting up, she was like, so that's a lot bigger than I had imagined or pictured. But yes, loves it. So yeah.
The cool thing about this line though is to see the kids progress through it, and some of the staff have told us kids that were just barely learning how to jump in the canopy at the beginning are now hitting this line. So it's pretty cool
within 1 year
to see that within 1 year, riding here a bunch, and to see that progression is pretty sweet. And that's kind of was our ultimate goal with the layout for the project, was progression, trying to link every line into each other. You can ride the blue line, then move up to the black line. But
for us, it's just been full labor of love. We've done nothing but work our absolute asses off for this place.
Yeah, and that was it. I think it was our big vision too for this place too that helped out. Like when we initially heard canopy and asphalt pump track, we were kind of like, well, you should put your asphalt pump track outside. That's the whole reason for, that's a main selling point on the asphalt tracks, is like you could basically ride it when it's raining. So then I think we started with that master plan, that vision of like, let's put our dirt inside. And then it just expanded. We had this crazy vision. We walked the hill with her, and we had this crazy vision of like what could happen on this hill. I think
we still have plans for asphalt pump tracks and for this place to grow too. So don't get too riled up there, everybody. We're gonna continue to build here, and shit will be amazing here. Yeah.
Asphalt pump tracks are awesome in the lack of maintenance point of view, but it's kind of pretty permanent, and that's the beauty of dirt. Is like, yeah, it's not permanent, it's going to require some maintenance, but at the same time it gives you a little more flexible creativity to do
right.
Absolutely.
Where you already look at the canopy here and what the trail crew's done here already since we've been gone for less than a year, is you have that possibility to change, you have that possibility to progress. The diggers can come in and make things a little steeper, a little longer, and then as your families and your whole community here progresses, so do the jumps around them, where you're limited with that asphalt pump track. That's how it is.
Or you put a layout in, you're like, well, this part over here is getting a lot of traffic, but that feature's not, so
let's take it out and change it.
Let's put something
absolutely.
that people want there.
And I like the point of like saying it progresses with the community, because you see the kids that are getting better, and then as make the jumps bigger, and the park is growing with the ridership group.
You look at those families here, right? Already there is 8-year-olds, and younger than that. There's like 6-year-olds, and then there's 14-year-olds, and to have this facility, have the Pisgah, have DuPont, like all of this stuff around here, you have everything to ride. Canuga, the place is amazing. And so now these families are doing it as fun, and these kids are progressing so fast, where my parents didn't take me mountain biking. We went fishing and we went camping. Like, there wasn't even mountain biking then. And now to watch these families progress, these 10-year-olds are sending the pro line, is absolutely unbelievable to watch.
Well, it's like you're a product of the environment that you grow up in. And like, me growing up in central North Carolina with not much culture, no skate parks, I didn't really learn how to drop in on a quarter pipe till I was like 16 years old, because there were no skate parks where I lived. I had to like drive to them and to get that experience. But now you've got these kids that are growing up, with basically Woodwards in their backyard,
Exactly.
Canugas, Riveters, stuff like that. It's completely changing the environment and the way kids are looking at progression now.
Gonna breed some thoroughbreds out of here.
Yeah.
Dude, this place is littered with them. All your local people here and all the World Cup racers here is absolutely insane.
It's the East Coast. It's turning into the East Coast Whistler.
100%. And just wait, this place is just going to keep growing. It's going to be insane.
Well, so I guess when I talked to you guys, I don't remember, earlier this week or last week, you were working on maybe a private project. And I don't expect you to give any details on that, but I know of at least 2 other private bike parks that are in people's, private property in this area that we could get to within a half-hour's drive from here.
And they're popping up everywhere, and we're having families reach out. And I don't know if I attribute it to COVID at all, but people are like, I have acres, I have kids. I can have my kids stay home, have their friends come over, and I can give them the same thing for pretty minimal amount.
Yeah. One way I had it put to me by a person in the region is like, I told the family they could have a swimming pool or they could have some trails.
Exactly, right?
The price was going to be the same.
Yeah, the swimming pool is probably even more expensive than
Depending on the trail. Yeah, so we did that it was like a blue flow trail for an 8 and 11-year-old in the backyard, which is awesome. And they ride here all the time, which is cool, and they're getting to where they're riding over the blue line, starting to clearing the green line, starting to hit the blue line, and like
we gave them just something cool progressive in their backyard that they can ride forever, and steep big ripping berms and tables that the landings go forever, so as they progress they can make lips steeper and send it, and I think it's going to be great for that family and for those boys to be able to dig and take some pride in their home trail. And they've already done that. Like, they built single track trail all over in little tiny features, and then for us to come in with this machine and just make these massive things was just kind of mind blowing to them, and it was so fun to watch. Just so rewarding to see their faces every day come running around, and just love it.
Getting them involved too in like the building process was pretty fun too. Like they were out there
root hunters.
Yeah, with root hunters. They were clipping roots for us and shovel packing and like getting after it. So
they got to have some sweat equity into the trail too, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Gives them more of a sense of ownership of it.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And like knowing the amount of work and stuff that it takes to maintain a trail like that too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and we just keep preaching to them like, hey boys, as you get older, you can just keep shaping the slip steeper and stack it here, and you guys keep progressing, and they'll work at it, and it'll be cool for them.
And you guys will retire someday. And
yeah, exactly.
Did you guys kind of give them like a little bit tutorial process, on like watering lips, like shaving them, like throwing dirt on the lips, filling the cracks and stuff?
We didn't quite go so deep. They're quite good at it already, so we didn't have to go too deep because their dad is already on that. He's been raising them on this property and making them do that already, and they have that love for it, and we just basically made it a lot bigger.
You just threw gas on the fire.
Yeah, exactly.
So aside from this general region, do you have projects in other areas as well, or?
Oh yeah, we're all over the U.S. right now. We have big plans for other areas, and it's such an exciting time.
Yeah, currently up to date, we've built, I guess like the two areas we really haven't spent too much time in are like northeast and northwest. Like we've been everywhere from California, Arizona, Iowa, Arkansas, North Carolina now, and then we've been getting it to where we spend a lot of our summers in Colorado. So like last summer we had, I don't remember how many exactly projects, 5, 6 projects or something like that.
6 projects in Colorado. So we've been trying to line it up so we go back there in June, work and the 70 to 75 degree weather and no bugs until November. And then we come here when all the bugs are done and the poison ivy's dying. And it's just kind of become our spot where we spent so many winters. I mean, I still love winter, and I was at Keystone for 18 years during the winters. And last winter here at Riveter was first winter away from ski resort. And it was the best winter ever. My toes weren't as cold, and we were able to ride year round, and so it's such a draw now that this has become our home. We'll be back here every winter forever.
What all have you guys done in Arkansas?
We've been doing mostly Hot Springs area, all the Northwood stuff. We've been working with IMBA. We're one of the subcontractors there, and it's been great working with Josh Olson, and that build team is amazing. Working with IMBA's been great too. They let us come in and be artistic. But we've been talking with Gary Vernon, trying to get up into the Bella Vista area and all that stuff.
I mean, Rock Solid and some of those boys got that place on lockdown, though.
Dude, and they produce some amazing stuff. And actually, one of our first projects was under Aaron Rodgers when he was under IMBA.
Okay.
And we went and built in Duluth, Minnesota, at Spirit Mountain. Yeah, and we built Happy Camper, and Aaron Rodgers had just built Candyland, the super cool green flow trail there. And we're like, man, this guy rules. And then all of a sudden he stopped IMBA and he started this company, and now it's the biggest trail building company there is. It's amazing.
I actually met Aaron this fall on accident. I was up in Copper Harbor on their new spot that they're building.
Gorgeous.
And we had just climbed up to the top to do this descent, and dude comes up with, kid riding on like the shotgun bike on his bike, and just chatting with him, and it's like, hey, my name's Michael, I'm from Western North Carolina. It's like, hey, I'm Aaron Rodgers, this is my mountain, I'm on Rock Solid Trails, and oh, I know your name now. I know your face.
Yeah.
He's a super cool guy. He's
Yeah.
rad rider. He's an amazing business owner. And, I mean, the stuff they've done, to me, I just look up to all the time. That place is gorgeous, though. The Ozark Mountains and then south into Arkansas and all that, it's kind of a hidden gem that people don't really think about.
In a way, I kind of wonder, because it seems like out of all the places where there are hills and mountains and the Ozarks coming to mind, it seems like mountain biking didn't find it until, late. It wasn't one of the early places, and because of that, it doesn't have that battle of the old way versus the new way. A lot of the fighting and stuff that happens with what a trail should be in a given area.
See, that's exactly what I feel about. I live in Silverthorne, Colorado, for part of the year when I'm not here at my new home. It's all old school trails. And it's old single track, and it's just everything's old. Nothing is purpose built. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no layout. There's no general future for where things are going. And to see
multi-user groups
exactly,
too,
and to see that is so different. And it's really cool to see our local mountain bike association now, SCOMBA. They are now starting to try to plan things and do ride centers, and they're like, holy cow, like. Yeah, we have all these trails and we're known for bike parks and all this, the mountains, but we actually don't have mountain bike trails and purpose-built stuff for us.
Purpose-built, yeah.
Looking at Seth Bike Hacks and what he's done and what he's going to bring, another mountain and another trail system. And, I mean, I think it's amazing what all your local people are doing here. It's just keep going. Just keep building.
More trails.
Speaking of different types of trails and different terrains, is there a type of project that you guys are you gravitate towards, that you like to take on more than not?
We love to be in the air.
Yeah.
And I have more of a cross country and then love for downhill. I'm not really a big dirt jumper. So for me, I love high speed bike park jumps. We went to Windrock the other day, and that I was in love with that place. Like smashing rocks and then hitting big jumps, and that place rules. And so that gravitates me, and I feel like Eric and I are really close. We like smashing downhill gnarly stuff, but also like getting in there, and that stuff definitely attracts us. That is not what we get to build. we build multi-purpose. We build hiking trails, we build cross-country trails, we build flowy backcountry trails. Like, we'll build anything that anybody wants us to, but we want to build our own, like, bike park lift service. That's the ultimate dream for us. But we build whatever trail and whatever anybody wants us to do, yeah.
For sure. I particularly love, like, as far as, like, construction goes, I particularly love like riveter style, like shaping dirt jumps, like that. I love, especially the dirt around here, and the dirt that we imported for here is just like, it's the best.
That's the artist coming out in you, because you want to like sculpt something beautiful that has like flow and purpose to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Red clay is so awesome.
It's so awesome, man.
Once you get past the topsoil layer out in this area, it's just, it doesn't even need much moisture to pack. It's super
incredible.
good stuff.
Like that private build that we did, we're doing borrow pits for all of our slash and everything, and you just get past that 6-inch, 8-inch layer of duff and loam and get rid of that, and you're just in gold.
I see both your hands are pretty much stained like
yes.
Carolina gold.
Yeah.
How long does it take for that to start to fade when you go back to Colorado for the summer?
Well,
I don't know if it does.
We bring 5-gallon buckets of dirt with us just to keep our Trump hands going. They're Trump hands. That's why they're orange. Trump hands, yeah.
You just keep them submerged. Like, all right, got to keep the red going.
Yeah, as a teenager building dirt jumps, where we discovered early on, don't wear white socks, wear black socks, and you don't got to worry about the stains.
We made fun of Joey the other day. Joey, the bike park manager here, he's wearing this bright white sweatshirt. We're like, Joey, what are you doing?
He knows better.
He's like,
than that.
everybody commented on
it's
my
my only
shirt
clean
today.
sweatshirt. We're like, well, wear a dirty black one.
A dirty black one is better than a clean white one with dirt caps.
I got this hole in my boot too, and now my feet start turning orange too. It was pretty funny though. Speaking of that, we working in Colorado. We came back in October to do the Harvest Gym and build the 6-pack out there. You know, it was 2 weeks or whatever, and then we got back, and it just had a light layer of snow. We got to one of our trail projects, and I put my boots on. And the first time I'd worked back in Colorado, and the snow was orange. Like my orange footprints in the snow was pretty funny for my boots.
Just Carolina gold.
Yeah,
all
Carolina
over the
gold.
place,
I was like, we're wasting this.
Harvest it.
So with projects that you guys have on the books, how far out booked are you? Do you have things in the future that have start dates, end dates, and about how far back does that look for the most part?
Yeah, I mean, the trail industry right now, and with us, it's blowing up. And we have projects all summer and line up to the future that we're working on. It's such a dynamic environment too, where we have these projects where we've probably been planning for a year out, and then all of a sudden there's a project that pops up and they're like, oh, we need something done in 2 weeks. And we're like, well, I guess we actually do have 2 weeks in between, and we'll just go pop up and make that happen. And so we have this vast, wide range of projects going on where we've been planning for a long time, things that
fill in the gaps a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And to work with all the great people that we work with, like Vail Valley Mountain Trails Alliance, they're always helping plan in the future. And so we have a trail with them in the next 2 years. There's some long-term stuff, and then there's a lot of really short-term, real quick stuff. And so our life is... We just never know what we're doing.
Dynamic was a good word for it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good way to be, too, because I've heard of other people that are like, yeah, we're turning down jobs, which, I guess given the size of it and how much, work you have and equipment to rent and things like that, you've got to be smart about it, or else you're going to lose money trying to make money.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, at this point, we're booked out all summer for the most part, unless we, fit something in here and there, and
it's a good problem.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's been an amazing problem because really once we quit Keystone and started doing this, we had 2 jobs lined up and completed those. And we're like, well, I hope more jobs come. Mm-hmm. And they just keep coming.
How are you mostly finding your jobs? Is it mostly word of mouth stuff?
Yeah, mostly word of mouth. There's a couple bid processes with state entities and stuff like that. And we've kind of started to look at that stuff, and we've bid on a couple. We haven't gotten any. But most of our stuff is word of mouth. When they find out how hard we work and how much pride we take in what we're doing, that's kind of what sets us apart. Is we become family with that place, and that's our joke. Is we're from here. Wherever we are, we're working on a project. We're from here,
and that's locals.
Yeah, and that's the pride we take. Is I'm building something that I would want in my yard, my town, whatever it is. And so we're never skimping, and we're always from there, and we fall in love with all the people there and become best friends, and now we're going to just be living here. We're going to have to get houses here.
Well, hopefully the market's in a good shape for that pretty soon. Well, so here versus Colorado, give me your top 3 things to ride here and there. They don't have to be anywhere near the same either.
I'll have to disclaimer it a little bit for myself, the fact that this build was pretty intensive, and we spent a lot of time right here. So and that in between rain days and most of the time our days off were because it was raining. We weren't working because it was raining.
Make hay while the sun's shining.
Exactly, yeah. So that's my disclaimer on saying that I haven't ridden a ton of stuff around here. I feel like we've done some of the local classics, we've done Avery Creek and Bennett Gap. I loved Bennett. Bennett was awesome.
Hard not to like Bennett.
Yeah,
coming from the type of riding that you guys love to do, Bennett hands down is probably one of the better trails for you to throw you guys on.
It was so fun. Roots and rocks and
off cameras, ditchy, and it's so awesome. So I would say that for me. We just recently got a chance to go to Canoga and check out Canoga, and that place is awesome too. Nico did
Callie and Nico, yeah, because Callie crushed that. What she's done there and her building and her running that place is awesome, man. I give all them full props. They are crushing it, and I hope they do nothing but keep crushing it, because all I want to do is go ride there.
Yeah, it was super fun. It was cool to like see that bike park, lift service, quote unquote, like bike park feel around here too, because like the stuff that we did ride in Pisgah was like, old school smashy stuff, which is awesome too. And then, but they have a little bit of everything at Canoga, and like just the layout is sweet too. Like it's so cool to be able to just lap and like, we did it like end of the day. We were getting tired. We just did a couple of Tortuga laps, like the short lap. Like how awesome is that?
I'll go and do like if I want to get like a good ride in, I'll go like top to bottom all the trails. I'll throw in Tortuga laps in the middle, and then at the end of the day, it's like I start running all my buddies there, and then next thing you know, like, shit, I don't even know how many laps I've done now. Like, and then you go back and like maybe look at your Strava or something. You've done like 14 Tortuga laps.
Yeah, that's so sweet.
Yeah,
I love that vibe too, because like I don't know, like coming up skateboarding, and I always like that like community feel, like at the skate park when you're watching your buddies and you're hanging out and you're all kind of in the same place.
You're having a session.
Yeah, you're having a session. Exactly.
It's a big kid skate park.
Exactly.
But for little kids too.
Well, 100%. And to have such that easy access road right there to do those laps. We were there with a couple families the other day, and their little girls and their boys that are anywhere from 6 to 12 years old are just lapping next to us, and I'm pulling them up on the e-bike, and then I'm taking multiple laps and then catching up with them, and we're all watching each other hit the laps as you're going. And it's such a cool session spot to hang out with your friends and watch them hit the step up and see what they're doing, and yell at the kids and be like, yeah, you're crushing it. Like it's such an awesome spot.
I think that's something that a lot of new school mountain bikers are not experiencing as much anymore, especially here in this area with the backcountry trails. You're not sessioning spots.
It's like me against the forest. I'm going to go crush this.
Yeah. Whereas like, coming from BMX, skateboarding and stuff, like hanging out on the deck, talking shit to your buddies, just pushing each other in different ways, and like having that fun session. You can kind of do that on some spots in the forest, but at Canoga, it just like it emphasizes that.
Really well laid out and well built, and love that place. Can't wait to just keep riding there and see what they keep doing too. And they've got machines there going all the time. They're fixing stuff up, and I can't wait to see what they keep doing and progressing on and making better.
So one more North Carolina spot, and then 3 Colorado spots.
One more North Carolina spot. What else? Oh, the Riveter, duh. No.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We had a blast at DuPont.
Oh, yeah, DuPont, dude. I was going to say that.
Well, I guess it's not North Carolina as soon as you get across the border, but I mean, we had a blast at Windrock.
Windrock, yeah.
It's in the region.
That place ruled. Like, that was, I mean, full shout out to those boys too for crushing.
As far as building things with just using everything that nature has to give you there, and not paving it, that place hurts bikes.
I loved it. Oh my gosh, we were smashing down everything. Like, finally back to Keystone, just smashing everything. We were so stoked.
I rented a bike there too because I flew in. I didn't bring a bike, so I just rented one of their commensals there, and it was awesome. Just smashing a downhill rental bike was awesome.
Oh, it's for sure, because your rental cost, you would have taken that much money off of the value of your bikes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, so Colorado stuff. Give us your 3 faves.
I think it's been, our answers have been trending to like not as much climbing and stuff. So
because climbing in Colorado is an ass kicker.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd rather do a couple thousand vert on lift with a bush in my hand than smash down it.
Yeah. So we ride trestle quite a bit in the summer. Winter Park's downhill park. We ride there.
Angel Fire, Crested Butte.
Yeah, we try to hit a lot of resorts and a lot of lift service stuff. But I like, my second answer would be Crested Butte. Just the trail riding in Crested Butte is unbelievable.
401, Teocalli, Dr. Park.
Teocalli. We rode that last summer, and it's just epic. Like, I hate to like use that word because I feel like it gets like so overused, but it is like
when someone says that word, as much as it is overplayed now, like my vision is like either when you're at the tip top of the climb at Teocalli or you're at that last like meadow on Dr. Park.
Yeah, for sure, man.
That place is gorgeous.
Like the tip top when you can see maroon bells and you're just like, it's
just
like
unreal.
I just got chills.
Yeah. I'm I love Pikes Peak. We have shuttled that a few times and gotten dropped off, and that is, what is it? It's a 14,000 foot peak, but I think you go down to Manitou, and I think it's 7,000 foot elevation change. Yeah, so a 7,000 foot downhill trail that takes you a grip that's an amazing trail.
And then what else? Oh, I dirt jump. I live in Frisco too, so try to go to the Frisco Bike Park quite a bit.
It's not a bad spot to live.
No, it's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet.
And what those local boys have done since we laid that out 10 years ago is absolutely ridiculous to see. I mean, we laid out lines of jumps, basically. It was like green, blue, black, all in one basically pile. And what they have done there is mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's not even remnants of what it looked like when it was first there. Like everything. It's one of one of the most like well-maintained public free parks that I've been to. You know?
I did get thrown some heavy shade from the skateboarders trying to ride the skate park there.
Oh, really? Yeah. That new skate park just went in. I haven't ridden it. Yeah, it's
It has like a circular flow, so people are just like constantly moving through it. So it's hard to like when people are there, it's hard to drop in on a bike because you're going to go like twice as fast as a skateboarder.
Yeah.
And then some little shithead kid's like, hey, the dirt jumps are over there, buddy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I know. That's why I'm here, because there's a skate park and dirt jumps.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're like, dude, I can ride a bike on this too.
There's
Get out of here.
I didn't see you drop in on the 8-foot quarter, and I just did, so what's up?
We also didn't see the kid riding a skateboard on the dirt jumps. So.
Oh, yeah.
The mountain boarders are out there in full force on
That's
Frisco.
awesome.
At Frisco, yeah.
You know, it's always one of those things you kind of roll your eyes when you see, but then you see somebody actually do it, and you're like, wow.
That's pretty cool.
Like when you see somebody you're like, it's good, you're like,
Yeah.
all right.
I mean, that's a commitment to a lifestyle, I think.
Yeah.
But it's really cool to hear you guys talk about, too, how things that you've built have changed over time, too. Because I feel like in a lot of situations, people are like, oh, we built this, and then they went in, they changed it all. And, like, that's kind of a stodgy way to feel about it because, you know, you're also not the user, you know, like the person that's using it is there for their own experience. And it's really cool to know that you can kind of take pride in having laid the foundation for it and then letting them build upon that too.
And I feel like that's what we've sold here at the Riveter is we sold them on dirt. Like, don't bring in asphalt. You can't change that. You can't progress with life. And so now to see that already taking shape and Joey and the whole crew here already changing stuff, steepening it up, making things a little more chiseled out. It's so cool to see, and I can't wait to come back in 5 years and see how much it's changed and how much it's progressed. And that's what we kept saying was, hey, we're going to give you some big-ass piles of dirt, and this is only going to let you guys have more freedom to shape and change things and adjust. If you just come in here and we're like, oh, I'm going to make this little tiny, sweet little lip, but then it doesn't work over a couple of years or it melts down, it's like you have a ton of maintenance. Where we put these massive piles in, and already, you know, the first jump past the cannon log, we're able to shape that in, make it steeper, and pull it back a little bit because we've laid that groundwork of a massive amount of dirt, and you're able to just keep adjusting that and progressing that.
Yeah. I think I would say like two things on that is like for me, I love the ownership that it creates for the user, you know, to be able to, or the maintenance crew here, for example. Like we worked directly with them when we were doing the build, so we could get them involved in the build and say, I built this place, you know, I helped build this place, like, and get that ownership of it.
Yeah, it wasn't just
which
us
is huge,
building.
you know, and I think that's part of it too. And then I think the other thing for me is like, we obviously do construction, but we're not building houses here. We're not framing. We're not going off of architectural plans. So it is a lot of art and construction. And sometimes you're not going to build the jump right the first time, or the feature right the first time, and you have to go back and adjust it and realize and then see, you know, how you ride it versus how I ride it, and change it, you know, and trail speeds are different for everyone, and how this person pops it and this person, you know, whatever it is. But yeah, and I think that's like part of it too, with letting people take over, you know, and it's like and that's cool. It's like that ownership This is yours now, Like, we want to leave you with something awesome that you love, and then it's yours.
Definitely let anybody listening know where to find you guys on the internet, on social media or whatnot.
Yeah, how do people keep up with you guys? Because you're on the move.
Yeah, right?
We're always moving, always building, trying to create something new, and we're McGillTrails.com, MCGILL, and then McGill Trail Fabrication or Instagram at McGill Trail Fabrication.
Yeah, I think that's probably our biggest platform is Instagram, and then our website, obviously. But as far as like current stuff, we stay up on Instagram pretty good, try to post quite a bit and stories and stuff. But yeah, that's probably the best part. My phone number, no, I'm just kidding.
You want your phone number?
What's your OnlyFans page?
Yeah, exactly. Hitchell.
How long are you guys here in town for?
Well, it kind of seems like we're going to be here until we're going to hang out for the 1-year grand opening or 1-year party. Yep. And then it looks like we're going to head down south, down into Texas, go to the sweet little bike park there and hopefully help out there for a few weeks. And then maybe be back here for a little bit. And then we're in Colorado all summer.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So maybe see you guys around on the trails a little bit.
Oh, 100%. And yeah, we'll definitely.
Yeah, this trip has been really fun too because it's been a little bit less like work filled. We've obviously been getting projects done, but we have been able to get out and ride a little bit, which is sweet.
Yeah, let's go rip some Canuga laps.
Yeah, for
100%.
sure.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
E-bike's just charging right now. Ready to go.
Well, sweet. Guys, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you guys. It's been great listening to you guys and your podcast too, and keep it going. You guys are crushing it.
Yeah, stoked on what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool. Thanks,
And
guys.
shout out to Eric Hockman for making this connection.
Yeah, hocked up.
So one of the things that I think is very interesting about this interview is how the trail building industry just seems to have come out of nowhere in my eyes, but it obviously has existed.
I think it's been slowly building up over the past couple years. And then maybe with COVID or the boom in outdoor recreation that we've seen in the past 2 to 5 years, it's really brought it to light a little bit more.
Yeah, it's brought it to the forefront, and the cool thing about it to me is that there is enough business out there to even bring a Colorado-based company to North Carolina to build a project. And I think that's really awesome too, because we have Western North Carolina trail companies that are building projects all over the country as well. And I think these pieces of influence that come from different regions and kind of cross-pollinate across everything is ultimately the best thing for new trail features and new ideas.
I mean, and when you have a company that has the Frisco Bike Park on their resume, yeah, I would love to have some of that influence here in Western North Carolina.
Absolutely, yeah. Bring some of those features to our kind of dirt and vice versa, and the world's just going to get better.
All right, before we wrap this episode up, Drew, this is probably going to come as a little bit of a surprise to you, but since you are the show's resident bike expert, I want to throw some homework your way.
All right.
So you know a lot about suspension. I don't. And a lot of our listeners may not know much about suspension. When it comes to suspension design, we have a couple of different options across the board that many of our bike manufacturers have. I would like you to give us an assessment of the various forms of suspension design that are on the market and how those best can be applied to Western North Carolina riding. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds interesting. A lot of it's going to be opinionated.
And that's okay.
But we can definitely work with this.
But you can form an educated opinion because of your expertise.
All right, Mangler, I will accept your homework challenge, and I'll even challenge my own opinions about things with that. And so tell me, how does the weather look for the week?
This weekend is actually looking really good. You know, we've got a lot of rain going on right now. Wednesday looks a little wet, maybe some snow in some of the higher spots. But Thursday is going to be mostly sunny and windy. Could be actually it's going to be a little chilly. And then Friday and Saturday look pretty splinter. Maybe a little chilly, but good riding weather. And then, unfortunately, rain on Sunday, and then back to some sunshine at the beginning of the week. So it doesn't look like a bad weekend of riding. Sunday just might not be the best day. And then I wanted to throw a shout out to our friend Paige Witherington. Her and her husband run Pitch Pine Farms. If you don't know Paige, I will give you a brief synopsis. She is a shredder on the mountain bike. And then also, she is a shredder when it comes to running. She will usually run more on her average runs than most of us do on our daily mountain bike rides. So shout out to Paige. It was also recently her birthday, so happy birthday, Paige.
Happy birthday, Paige.
And that wraps up this week's episode of the Pisgah Podcast. As always, you can find us on social media. Just search Pisgah Podcast.
And if you've ever went exploring down a gravel road, just get to your secret campsite, and you just found out that it was taken over by some squatters, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and share this episode with your squatter friends.
That happened to me and Joey Sewell one time. We were